posted a question in the SEO Secrets Facebook group asking people to let me know questions that they would like me to discuss. And a couple people from the group, which was really awesome, they went on, they posted some questions, and I was super excited about it. And I was super excited about answering the questions, but then I really just tried way too hard to go live before, and I just worried about all the technical, the equipment. I had a whiteboard, all this other stuff going on, and after multiple attempts, probably like 10 different times, the live stream I just couldn't bring the pieces together. So as ironic as it is, I'm finally going live because the members from the group, they posted the questions. Somebody even followed up with an additional question, and it's just really important for me to get on here live and go ahead and answer because people took the time to post the questions. So I realize no one's on watching right now, but I know this live stream is going to convert to a video, so you can sit and watch this video later once you see it in the group. So all right, and you got to forgive me also. I'm a pacer, so you see me kind of moving around. It's just what I do. All right, so I'm going to dive in. Joshua from the group, I asked for people to post questions relating to their agency topics that they would like to hear me cover and discuss. And Joshua from our group posted two questions. He wanted to learn more about our client acquisition strategy and also pricing as two things that he consistently struggles with his agency. So client acquisition and pricing. Those are two huge topics. I'm going to take them one at a time. All right. So quick backdrop to my background, our agency, Bipper Media, and how hopefully I can lay a little bit of groundwork to sort of verify or give some credential to us answering this question of client acquisition and pricing. So number one, in 2020. It was the first time in our agency, which is Bipper Media. We're an SEO agency. In 2020, it was the first time that we hit $1 million in sales in one single year. Okay, so it's kind of funny. I talk about with our team that I've been saying for I think like 10 plus years now that my goal has always been to hit $1 million a year in our agency. That's always been my goal, and it's always sounded like this pipe dream for like several years, almost 10 years. And then finally in 2020, ironically enough, right in the middle of the pandemic, was the first year that we actually hit that goal. So in 2020, we hit $1 million in our agency. And so I say that only to hopefully establish a little bit of credentials to answering this question with the two questions: client acquisition and pricing. All right. So number one, client acquisition. Let me tell you our client acquisition strategy. All right. So a little bit of a backstory to how I used to approach client acquisition. All right. So going back 10 plus years ago, I was the king of Craigslist ads. All right. So y'all probably remember Craigslist, right? So I remember sitting at my wife's and where my wife grew up in Wisconsin. There's a small little town and a small little coffee shop. I remember probably 10 plus years ago sitting in that coffee shop, and this was at the very sort of origins of Bipper. It wasn't even called Bipper Media. I was just more acting like a freelancer, trying to get SEO work. I remember posting as many Craigslist ads as I could to just get somebody to respond and call me to help them with SEO. I didn't really understand SEO very well back then, and obviously things that we did back then SEO wise, they not only would they not work today, but it would probably be considered very black hat SEO stuff. But anyway, that's the origins of my client acquisition strategy 10 plus years ago. Posting as many Craigslist ads as I can. I remember going through multiple different email and profile accounts because I would post so many Craigslist ads that my accounts would get banned, or ads all of a sudden started getting hit with spam, things of that nature. So that obviously wasn't a long-term that obviously wasn't a long-term plan for client acquisition. But what I learned back then is it did bring in some sales, it did bring in some clients, and the lesson from that is as clients came in and I started working with clients, the more clients I worked with, the more I was able to understand kind of the core questions that those clients had, like the core issues. Like the obvious one is I need to start ranking higher in Google search, right? That's an obvious thing. But and then for a business, why you want to rank higher in search is obviously to grow your business. But so aside from that, there's more tactical, more detailed, more inner type questions that people have. And the more I learned those questions, what I would do is I would turn and I would just write an article, right? So I turned to my blog and I wrote an article on the question, and I would answer that question as best I could. And then maybe 2, 3, 6 months later, a year later, even really to today, I still do this today, is I'll go back to those articles because I will have gained some new knowledge, some new information, and I'll update those articles. Okay. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because today, Bipper Media, again, we just in 2020 hit over $1 million a year. We are already taken off even from that point here in 2021. The client acquisition strategy is really, it all boils down to content, to information, right? So the more questions I learned that the marketplace had as it related to SEO, I would turn and I would produce content. And back then it was mostly blog posts, right? So I really shifted my focus to producing information and producing content and answering questions, things of that nature. And I know it might sound a little cliche, and you probably hear it all the time, but the truth is, the truth is, excuse me, is that content and information, you becoming an informational leader or an informational source, actually answering questions in a very helpful manner that serves your customers, that is by far the number one client acquisition strategy that is out there. Okay, so it's something I learned going back 10 years ago at a very low, very small level, just initially learning that, but it's something that has definitively gotten our agency to where we are today. And it is the client acquisition, understanding the information, right? You publish, and today the content takes many different shapes and forms, right? So there's blog posts, but there's video like what I'm doing here, Facebook Live. There's YouTube is a huge channel, and it's something like I even have my goals for continuing to grow our agency, client acquisition strategy. I need to be publishing more. I need to be publishing more content on YouTube. There's absolutely no question. I'm a very far. I'm a very far distance away from where I need to be with publishing videos on YouTube. YouTube is a huge source, and mostly because people, when they go to YouTube, they're looking for, excuse me, when people go to YouTube, they're looking for answers and solutions. They want to be educated on something, right? So what better way for you to attract the highest quality customers for or the highest quality clients for your agency? What better way to do that than to start answering questions in the form of video content published on YouTube? Right? And so that's even in my sort of plans going forward for client acquisition and to grow our agency. I need to be publishing more YouTube videos and Facebook videos and things of that nature. But back to sort of the origin and what has gotten us to where we were, it really comes down to blog posts and content and putting information together. And I was really, really bad at it, going back several years ago. I still don't consider myself the best at it today, but I've learned that answering questions, getting that information published that is useful and educational and helpful to a targeted audience. Not only are you serving that audience by helping them, but that process of educating and using the information that gets out there, that process, amazing. It's like magic, so to speak. It just attracts the audience and the clients to you. Okay, so I know you probably, if you go on and Google something like client acquisition or things of that nature, the majority of the strategies and the tactics that you're going to read about or hear or watch on YouTube is things like Facebook ads and YouTube ads and Google ads, things of that nature. And I don't discredit those things. And yeah, obviously they work. People obviously, pour a lot of resources into those things. I mean, I think Google in 2020, I think Google generated over 130 plus $billion in ad revenue in 2020. So, who am I to like say, who am I to critique that? But I can just tell you from an organic standpoint, we have articles now on bippermedia.com that there's 2 to 3 articles that every single day, without question, without fail, it's like clockwork. Every single day, 2 to 3 articles are by far getting more traffic than literally all of the articles, all other blog posts combined. These 2 to 3 articles are getting more traffic than all of those combined. And then not only more traffic, but those 2 to 3 articles are bringing in more leads and ultimately more sales for our agency than all other pieces of content combined. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. And I say that specifically for client acquisition strategy. Start producing. You have to start producing content. You have to start getting your information out there somehow, some way. And it's going to be real rough. It's going to be very unrefined. You're not going to be great at it if you haven't done it before when you start. But you have to break through. You have to fight through that. And because there's no matter what you publish, whether it's a video or an article or doesn't matter what you're doing, you're going to, trust me, I know because I've been there and I'm still there, still working through this stuff. You're going to want to hit delete and start over. And then you'll spend another hour or two producing something and then you're not going to like it. And then you hit delete and you start over. But what I want to encourage you to start this client acquisition strategy is you just got to publish. You just got to get it out there, start publishing. No matter how bad you think your piece of content is, if you're taking this disposition of helping and serving your market, serving your clients, wanting to educate and wanting to add value, it's going to help somebody. Somebody out there is going to see it or read it or watch it or hear it, and they're going to connect with you, and then that's going to attract them to you. And there's your client acquisition strategy. It's the one we use. And I forgot to mention podcasts. So, I'm live right now on the SEO Secrets Facebook group. Well, I created this Facebook group to complement our podcast, SEO Secrets. And it's really the majority of what I share on the group is our podcast. But our podcast is another example of using content and information as a client acquisition strategy. For example, we had this company didn't become a client; they almost became a client, and if it wasn't for a some small sentence or two language in their current contract, they would have signed on with us like instantly. But a director of marketing from an auto repair shop up in the Northeast, they have, I don't know what it was, 50, 100 auto repair shops up in the Northeast. They found the SEO Secrets podcast. And at that point, we had probably maybe 15 or 20 episodes on the podcast. This director of marketing found the podcast and he told me he just binge listened one after another. Once he heard the first one, he couldn't get enough. He listened to the next one. He just binge listened to all, whatever it was, 15 or 20 episodes on the SEO Secrets podcast. And then he called me and he said, man, he says, first I got to tell you, like I just binge listened to this entire thing. And he told me if you would have had 100 more episodes, I would have binge listened to all of them. So it was kind of cool and very encouraging. And that is what acquired that person to connect with us. Now, like I said, they didn't sign on with us, which is fine. But I just say that as an example, all right, as a podcast. I wouldn't be doing you justice if I am talking about using content and information for client acquisition if I didn't mention podcast. It's huge. And it's another thing that's on my sort of next 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan, so to speak. I have to be doing more podcasts. So in our world in Bipper Media, I have to do more YouTube videos. I have to do more live things like this because I want to get this information to you all to help you because I see what's working for us. I need to be doing more podcasts. All right. So I'm right here with you. I'm walking this path with you, but I wanted to share because it's really the content and information that allowed us to grow over all these years to where we were 2020, finally hit over $1 million. And I think we're really only just scratching the surface. So that's client acquisition. All right. So the next question, let me look over here, is pricing. All right. Joshua, he asked about client acquisition and pricing. Okay. So pricing is it's a real challenging topic. Okay. So let me just tell you what we do, how we've evolved, and where we're at today, and you can take it and kind of process it and see if it will work in your agency. Okay, so number one, we've been all over the place, like literally 1,000 different price variations, this, that, and the other thing, over the years, and it was really kind of stressful and frustrating for me and people on our team and things of that nature. But here's where I think the dust is starting to settle a little bit. We're starting to get some traction with our pricing. Okay, and again, our success in 2020, I think, speaks to this. We really have two different tiers of pricing. Okay, so one tier of pricing is, let's just call it, like if you're in the information industry or coaching or consulting, things of that nature, you're probably familiar with the terms of low ticket items and high ticket items, right? So in our agency in Bipper Media, we kind of have two tiers like that. The low ticket tiers would be our local SEO tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we have three tiers in this low tier, and they are $149, $249, and $349 a month. And the value you get from each of those three tiers, it's just a little bit different, right? So it's kind of like small, medium, and large kind of kind of a thing. So that is what I would consider the low ticket items. And then we have high ticket item or a high ticket item. The high ticket item is there's no real fixed pricing to the high ticket thing that we sell. And what when I say high ticket in our world, we refer to them as SEO Power Packs. Now, an SEO Power Pack, it's been working out really well because that can really mean many different combinations of things, right? So like the number of guest posts or backlinks, and whether it's per month or one time, how many locations do you have? Do you need a new website built within it? So things like that. Calling it this high ticket item or this high ticket product is the SEO Power Pack. It's very flexible. Also, what's very flexible is the pricing that we are able to bundle and give as an offer to somebody that we're talking to. Okay, so a takeaway for you, pricing wise, is maybe consider starting out with two different tiers, having a low tier offer, right? Something that doesn't require it doesn't require a whole lot of time and investment of your time talking to people, things of that nature. In our world, it's our local SEO tiers, and there's three different packages, like a small, medium, large, so to speak. It's very easy. People can just go there, and it's affordable. It's in most small local business budgets, and they can just sign up. No big deal. And then our high ticket pricing tier is the Power Pack, and that's where we we number one definitively are getting on the phone. We're definitively getting on the phone and talking to the leads, and then while we're on the phone with them, we're assessing what their needs are, what their affordability level is, are they a good fit for our SEO Power Pack, and then based on those variables, we are putting together that pricing package, and that is very much a high tier, a high ticket type offer. And those offers can range anywhere from, I don't know, $1,500 a month up to 5 figures a month. But it's all under this umbrella of what we refer to as an SEO Power Pack. Okay, now those high ticket, those Power Packs, the high ticket offer things that we put together. And I think this is an important takeaway for you and your agency when considering going down. Well, not considering. I really encourage you. You should be doing this. Is you've got to get your prospect on the phone. Okay, so you've got to. We use Calendly. We use contact form. We use Calendly. If somebody wants to talk in detail about their SEO needs, and their needs are a higher level need than tier 1, 2, and 3, which are our low ticket items. So tier 1, 2, and 3, if that's their affordability level, say $249 a month, they don't really have much more, they can just go and just sign up for those. But if they want to have a more in-depth conversation about their SEO need, you have to get on the phone. You have to get on the phone. You can't, and I know I learned the hard way, right? And my team knows this as well. Like really not too long ago, like even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was just notorious for taking in-depth conversations and going down this path of emails. And I mean, I was the king of writing like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 word emails back and forth, answering questions with somebody, and lo and behold, that person never signs on with us. So I just spent a massive amount of time and energy and effort on responding through email just to have somebody never sign on with us, right? So I really learned the hard way, but I learned, thankfully, I learned that you've got to get people on the phone who want to have a more in-depth conversation. Now that's number one. That saves you from wasting a massive amount of time and energy and effort into prospects who might not quite be, they're just not quite ready to sign on with you yet. But number two is when you're on the phone with this person, it's really the best way, it's the absolute best way for you to assess their needs and for you to get a feel for not only their needs and but you get to learn about their business, what their affordability levels are. So you're able to package and basically sell the, in our world, the SEO Power Pack, the service that you're going to offer them. You're able to sell them what is going to add the most value to that client. Okay, something that is in their budget range, it meets all of their needs, and these conversations lead to a much higher type of engagement, a much higher ticket type package or sale for you and your agency, and that is definitively something that we're really starting really in 2020. That we were able to hit over $1 million that year. It's really that SEO Power Pack, getting on the phone, the high ticket kind of path. That is what drove our success in 2020. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time, but once we really started to understand and we saw it, and we saw the method and the process that's working, and we started doubling down and focusing on that, it's really had a huge impact, not only on our business, but those higher ticket priced packages allow us to serve our clients just at an exponentially higher level. So our clients are more successful. It helps us to be more profitable as an agency, which allows us to serve our clients at a higher level. Okay, so I hope that's helpful with the discussion of pricing. And then there was one other question that somebody posted, finding the right prospect to outreach. So I'm going to bring that, finding the right prospect to outreach. So let me bring that conversation back to the client acquisition comments that I made. Okay, so um, when like what I said, the client acquisition strategy that we use, we think really in terms of information and content being published that's helpful and informative and useful. That is our client acquisition strategy. We've learned that putting that out there attracts the highest quality, or acquires or attracts, however you want to phrase it, the highest quality. Now, the same thing with finding the right prospects. What was it? Finding the right prospects to outreach. If you're doing content and information and you're putting information out there, you don't have to find the right prospects to outreach, so to speak, right? Your content, your valuable information, you don't have to find them. It's like the power of the internet, so to speak. Once it's out there, the right audience will find the answers to the questions they have that you're putting out, and that will attract, that will bring in the prospects for you. Okay, um, so let me put it this way. That question is, how do I find the right prospects to outreach? Think of that as a pathway or a road that's going out from where you are. It's an outbound type strategy, right? It's push marketing, right? So that's kind of the old legacy model of advertising, like radio ads and newspapers and billboards and TV ads, and all of that is you're pushing out content to hopefully find and get in front of the right audience for you to outreach to. Okay, versus the the content being published, getting it out there, letting the right audience find that, and that will attract and bring in the right audience to you. And then when that happens, you're not even really outreaching, you're not prospecting, you're not outreaching. All you're doing is putting out content that's helpful and informative, and the right people are coming to you, right? So it really describes inbound versus outbound. Okay, inbound marketing is you're putting out content, answering questions, and then people see it, it's helpful, it establishes your trust and authority. It establishes you as kind of the expert in that space, and then it attracts the right person and they come into you, and then that really feeds into the topic on pricing. When that right audience comes into you, um, we've learned in our agency to have those two different tiers: a low ticket kind of offering, which is our tier 1, 2, and 3 local SEO packages. They're very easy, relatively low priced for most businesses. And then our high ticket tier, where when those people come into us, we need to schedule a call and get on a phone so we can understand their needs better, we can understand their budget, what their goals are, and then we can put together an offer that's customized to that business. So really, ironically enough, now that I'm talking about it, I realize client acquisition and pricing, it's really all kind of one continuous cycle. It's one continuous stream. It starts with you putting out helpful information that brings in the right audience and the right prospects to you. And then when they get to you, this really comes down to understanding your market, having a couple of different tiers. Consider having a couple different tiers. One is kind of the low ticket path that's very easy. The other is the high ticket path that you need to get on a phone call and you put together a custom offer. So anyway, just me talking about it, I realized like really those two sort of realms are really interconnected, and it's one continuous loop. So, all right, so I'm going to hop off. I hope this was helpful to you. Let me know. This is going, well, I'm live obviously, but this is going to now be a published video in the SEO Secrets group. Check it out when you get a chance, and let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.